know you were a physicist and engineer by trade. What does that
that by education? I'm sorry.
Bring?
By education. So,
Well, your trade is the Navy, but what mindset you have bring to the Senate different than, say, a lawyer?
Again, a lot of these guys like Tim Kaine that I'm running against, I mean, he just listens to what talking points he gets from his staffers. And I'm able to look down and go, okay, hold on. You're saying, X, Y, and Z, and from my experience, I know science, I know what we can do, and we just need to move, innovation at a quantum level in this country and stop being held back by, I'm so scared. I mean, like I said, name the 3 problems we've had with nuclear reactors in this country. We're talking about 3 Mile Island, which never reached supercriticality. It just passed limits and we shut it down. Chernobyl, that's just Russian stupidity. And Fukushima, you don't put emergency backup generators underwater. That's just, on a good to bad scale, it's bad.
Yeah. There's CBS News wrote an article just yesterday. It said, let's see here. During the heat dome that blanketed much of the Southeast in June, Stacey Freeman used window units to cool her poorly insulated mobile home in North Carolina. Over the winter, the mom relied on space heaters. In both instances, her energy bills reached hundreds of dollars a month. Sometimes I have to choose whether I'm going to pay the light bill or do I pay all the rent or buy food or not let my son do a sport. And this whole article from CBS was about global warming. It was about global warming, and they threw in a bunch of race in there because it hurts, people of color more or whatever. It's like, whoa. Energy is an energy issue. We need to make energy affordable.
I know.
And they didn't really get to that point in the article.
But it's it's Bidenomics, right? I mean, they keep saying, it's great. In fact, like Tim Kaine said, I feel a lot better today than I did 2 months ago. I'm like, we have record high layoffs right now. And the job market is bad and Americans are hurting. Yet we're still paying $1 billion a day for illegal immigrants. So please, tell me who you're prioritizing right now, Americans or illegal aliens coming across here and, raiding apartment complexes like in Aurora, Colorado. Yeah. I mean, this is insane. We've got to take care of Americans first.
I'm always fascinated by this. I think people roll their eyes when I bring it up all the time, but I'm fascinated by the difference in within states. And I'm always trying to figure out which state has the biggest delta between its groups of peoples. And Virginia may be a sleeper here because you have the extreme of DC, right? So you have that, and then you have, looking at a map here, you have basically Kentucky. You have Norton, Virginia, which could not be different than Washington, D.C. How can you possibly appeal to that extremes of peoples in one state? / who are you going for? How are you going to win this thing is my point.
Well, that's a great question because here's the thing. All Americans are hurting the same. We can't put food on the table. We can't put gas in the car, and we can't buy a home. And, these guys like Tim Kaine are sitting there fat, dumb, and happy going, it looks great to me. Well, in Southwest Virginia, the rural areas, they're also getting inundated by illegal aliens. I mean, I was with all the sheriffs down there, and they're saying, hey, I pull a guy over for a $50 ticket. It's going to cost my department $500 because, I have to hire a translator. So now I'm negative $450 for just enforcing the law. But
what?
Yeah, I know, it's insane. In Northern Virginia, look, there's a lot. I ran for Congress in 2022 in the 10th Congressional District, which includes the infamous Loudoun County. And I didn't win, but I moved that needle 13% from a Biden plus 19 to down to 6% because the immigrants up here, like myself, we see what they're turning this country into, which is what we ran away from. And, I escaped from communism. And a communist like, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are telling us oh no, it's just, another person's neighborliness. No, we've seen this, and we're not going to let this happen to our children and your children or our grandchildren.
You say some strong words there, Hung Cao, running for Senate in Virginia. And they did use that. They said it's just neighborliness, and it reminded me of when Obama said, I think it was Obama, said, government is just the name we give for things we do together. Maybe it was Pelosi, whatever, it's all of them. what are they really saying here? And you say they're communists. It's a strong word. Why do you say such a thing?
Look, when you're price fixing, and when you have a snitch line to tell on your neighbors when they're not, conforming to the laws, and when you're trying to indoctrinate our children, that is completely what Mao wanted to do in China. That's exactly what the Soviets did. And so, please don't preach to us that lived through that and have seen it firsthand and say this is not communism. It's just socialism. It's just neighborliness. It's downright communism, and we're not going to allow this to happen to a country that we love so much. I mean, I love this country so much, Mike, that I wrote a blank check up to including my life. And I went to Iraq, Afghanistan, and Somalia to defend this country. And now I'm running for U.S. Senate to defend it from the inside.
Where's your family from?
We escaped Vietnam right before the fall of Saigon. And we came here, and I actually grew up in West Africa because my dad was in agriculture. And so he couldn't find any work over here, so they sent him over there to help develop third world countries. So I spent 7 years in West Africa and then came back here at the age of 12 to learn English because I spoke French in school and then Vietnamese at home.
No way! Wow, what a life! Where in West Africa did you grow up?
In Niger, and then a little, Mali, Senegal, but then most of the time was in Niger. And then my military life, I spent a lot of time in all of Africa too. Besides Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, I was in Algeria, and then Benin. It was just insane.
I would say so. Didn't we just have to leave Niger?
Yes.
Didn't our troops just leave?
Yes. So
what happened there?
So we have Air Base 201, which is up in Agadez, Niger. That's where we were helping the French commandos launch fights against Al Qaeda and in Chad, and we're fighting from there, supporting the French commandos there. And basically, under Biden, we got kicked out of Niger. They're like, no, we want to go with the Russians. So the Wagner Group is basically running our air base out there.
Come on.
No, and look, this country loved America. I mean, there's a bridge there called the John F. Kennedy Bridge that I grew up in. They loved Americans, and now they hate Americans because of what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have done.
I'm laying this down. Kennedy's Bridge. What?
Yeah, the big bridge over there is the Kennedy Bridge, and I remember crossing over as a kid, and now they just hate Americans because of what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have done, and they're letting the Russian influence come in there. I mean, the Russians or Chinese have split Africa in half, so that the Russians take everything from Chad westward, and the Chinese take it from there to the east to Kenya and Djibouti. This is what they're doing. They're dividing up the world. They did that in Afghanistan also. If you draw a line diagonally in Afghanistan, the Russians and the Iranians have the northwest corner, and the Chinese and the Pakistanis have the southeast corner. And they're taking all the natural resources from Africa and the Middle East.
Man, and what are we doing?
Well, we're sitting back and saying, "Hey, it's Bidenomics," and this is, and people like Tim Kaine, who's on the Senate Armed Services Committee, they're sitting back. They don't know what's going on. This is why you need people who've actually done things in life to serve this country in the U.S. Senate and the Congress.
So I'm looking at, what did Tim Kaine do before all this? What was his deal? He's governor. What was he do before governor? Mayor.
Yeah,
mayor of Richmond.
So governor. He was so bad as governor. He shut down all the rest stops in I-81. So it made a lot of people angry. He was supposed to be Barack Obama's running mate in 2008, but he was so terrible as a governor. He couldn't even get nobody voted for his bill, including Democrats, that Barack Obama passed him over for Joe Biden. I mean, let that sink in, that you're worse than Joe Biden. They went with Crooked Joe instead of you.
Yeah, he did nothing. He was just mayor. He's been in politics forever.
Yes, for 30 years he's been in various jobs, and now the same guy who's been in there for 12 years is saying, "Hey, give me 6 more years. I'll fix all my screw-ups."
Yeah. Where can people support Hung Cao's race for governor in Virginia?
Oh, for
Not governor, excuse me, Senate. In
for
Virginia. Senate. In Virginia.
yeah, go to hungforva.com. That's hungforva.com. Look, your listeners might not be able to vote for me, but I can vote for them because my vote in the U.S. Senate will stop all this madness. I mean, I came here as a refugee and I fought for our country, and I'm not done fighting for us.
Hung for VA, Virginia. Hung, H-U-N-G, hungforva.com. Hung Kyle, great to talk to you, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
Have a wonderful day. I love these scenarios where it's just like, oh, well, this is obvious. You know what I mean? Like just put parties aside. Just, okay, we got this guy who's been there forever. Mayor of Richmond is his expertise. That's his life experience versus this guy's life experience. Like, what are we even talking about here? Like objectively, if an alien came down and looked at this, they'd be like, well, this guy's got to be your representative, right? Oh, no. We went with this Tim Kaine guy. Like, what? You out of your minds? Come on, that's an easy one. But it's going to be a tough race.